Hello and welcome to this special telecast on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Frank Rausan Pereira. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a short while from now, will lay the foundation stone for the new Parliament building, which is expected to be completed by 2022 at an estimated cost of around 970 crore rupees. The event will begin at 12:55 p.m. today and the foundation will be laid at around 1 p.m. A sarva, dharma, prarthana or interfaith prayer will be held at 1:30 p.m. The Prime Minister will deliver his address on the occasion at 2:15 p.m. The building, which is going to come up in an area of around 64,500 square meters at a cost of 971 crore rupees, will be earthquake resistant and adaptable to the most modern digital technology. It will incorporate indigenous architecture from different parts of the country and showcase cultural diversity. The existing Parliament building will be conserved as it is an archaeological asset of the country. In the lead up to the ceremony itself, we will talk about the importance of Parliament and why we need a new building. To do that, I have with me on the program Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, and Yogendra Narayan, former Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha. Thank you to my guests for joining me on this special telecast. Mr. Narayan, let me begin the program with you first. As far as the ceremony itself is concerned, the stone-laying ceremony of the new Parliament building will be carried out in a short while from now. Let's talk about the importance of Parliament and why we need a new complex as well.
Well, when the capital of India was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi in 1911, the idea of having a separate council building at that time took place in the North Block, South Block, etc. In fact, a whole architectural structure, new architectural structure was to take place in Delhi. And this council house, as it was then called, was initiated through a foundation stone laid in 1921. And it's almost 100 years now that another foundation stone is being laid. And the reason is that if we want to make Parliament a more functional, more effective body with a larger representation from the people, then this Parliament House has to be enlarged. So far, we have been accommodating not more than 550 seats in the Lok Sabha and not more than 250 seats in the Rajya Sabha. But this is based on an old census. And when the new census will take place, the strength of the members will go up. And in the Lok Sabha, they'll expect it to go up to 850 to 900. And the Rajya Sabha membership will also go up. So to accommodate these new representatives of the people, the additional representatives of the people, if I may say so, it is necessary to have a Parliament which can accommodate all these, the full strength of the members, because it's in the representation, the representatives who actually make democracy functional, who make democracy effective, and they must have an effective voice and an infrastructure or an structure where they can voice their opinion. For example, digitization of the facilities, digitization of the facilities available to members has to be increased. Then we have to cater to the new demands that are coming up of computerization of the entire working. The aim is to make it paperless working. So all these necessitated a new structure which could accommodate all these additional requirements of a modern Parliament. If we go abroad, we see fully functional, very modernized parliaments. Our Parliament has also evolved gradually, I must say. There were, for example, we never had electronic voting till about 20 years after our independence. It started somewhere in 1973. So then we tried to increase the seats, and the seats increased gradually in 3 or 4 phases as per the census requirements and as per the requirements of additional members. So it has been evolving, no doubt, but now it has become very congested, if I may say so. When I worked in Rajya Sabha, I could notice that even these rooms given to the ministers or to the chairman of the committees, parliamentary committees, they are almost like pigeonholes. And there's no way, I mean, you cannot keep on just breaking one pillar after another and trying to add new rooms. So to sum up, I would say to make democracy fully effective, participative democracy, where each member has a say, we had to modernize parliament. We had to put in additional facilities where even each member of parliament could get a room like they have in the US Congress, and where he could meet the public representatives, etc. So all this necessitated a new parliament building, and I'm so glad that finally the decision has been taken by the government, and we are going to have this structure in place by 2022. Thank you.
Right, right. So, Mr. Iyer, as far as the new Parliament complex is concerned, how is it going to be different from the existing building? What is it that you are looking forward to?
Well, as Yogendraji has just mentioned, the fact that this building is a very old building because it's almost 93 years old. I mean, 100 years ago, the foundation was laid. And the second thing is that building has been undergoing a lot of repairs. And those repairs have not only involved the money, but at sometimes have also left to a situation where you feel the structure has a lot of emotional value for us, because that is the place where our constitution was debated, our constitution was adopted. So it has a lot of, I would say, to the growth and history of our great country. There is a lot of landmark events associated with that parliament building. But at the same time, just as Yogendraji was mentioning, we are today a country of 1.3 billion people. And, the delimitation exercise has been frozen for the last, since 1976, it was decided that we will put it off till 2001. And 2001, it was decided for another 25 years. That means by 2026, you will have to take a call on whether that every member of parliament is representing only the same number of people. Because last time we did a delimitation exercise, but that was largely to redraw the geographical area of each constituency. So it is high time that the question of number of members to give more greater representation to the people of India will have to be undertaken. So when a call is taken in 2026, you cannot then decide to sit and start the construction. Therefore, what has happened is this project is a part of the entire Central Vista project. And already for the maintenance of these buildings, government has been spending a lot of money. Besides that, government is also spending as a rent almost 1,000 crores, because several government departments in the capital Delhi is housed in many private buildings. So the idea that, that you should have a new visitor, which is a central visitor, which one thing is to bring about greater administrative efficiency, and in the longer run save cost, because there is no point, you go on doing repairs, and that too in patches. And also, just as the Secretary General Saab was mentioning, we need to go for modern technology. And the fact that our members of parliament do not have a room. See, at best they can relax in the central hall, or, the lobbies are there, where sofas are kept. But, in a country, such a big country, the members of parliament need their own office. Of course, they get government accommodation, but they need an office to meet their constituents and to be available at easy notice. Because the whole idea is that where the offices will come and the main parliament building, there will be an underground kind of a train. They are planning, Central Vista, they are planning some kind of, just as you see in the US Capitol. So I think this is a thing that was necessary, and they have gone for a very simple design, but which is very efficient one, keeping in mind the need for availability of various government heads to meet when necessary, and also for the members of parliament. Frank.
Absolutely. These are some aspects that we are looking forward to. Of course, the ceremony itself will begin in about 15 minutes from now. Let's now go across to our correspondent on the ground, Kriti Mishra, who will give us a sense, Kriti, of what's really happening there, what kind of preparations have been made, and what can we expect during the course of the afternoon.
Well, Frank, stage is all set for the foundation stone laying ceremony of new Parliament building. Of course, Prime Minister is expected around 1 p.m. And right now we have all the dignitaries, around 200 dignitaries are expected to attend this event. There are ministers. Also, we will have the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Prahlad Joshi, and also Hardeep Singh Puri, who is the Minister for Urban Development and Housing, and also Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Harivansh. He will also be joining Prime Minister on the dais. And of course, there is elaborate arrangement as far as security is concerned. Strict COVID protocol is in place. All the guidelines are being followed, and around 1 that is expected, and thereafter there would also be.
Okay, we seem to have lost the line there with Kriti Mishra. We'll try and reconnect with her to try and get the itinerary of the day. Really, the Prime Minister is scheduled to address the gathering at 2:15 p.m. as well. So that's something that we'll be leading up to. There is a groundbreaking ceremony. There is going to be a prayer ceremony as well, which is going to be performed there, getting the blessings or divine blessings as we start something new. All right, Mr. Narayan, coming back to you now, as far as the existing Parliament complex is concerned, let's talk about that as well. And let's talk about some of the fond memories that you associate with the existing building.
You see, it is a very historical structure. So one loved to work in that historical structure. And as when I first joined Parliament, I took a tour myself, and there was this library building, for example. Very few know about it. Apart from the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, and the Central Hall, there used to be a central library. And this is where the Supreme Court also met for the first time. And this is after independence. There's a central, it's the old library. I'm not talking about the new library. So there are a lot of memories associated with this structure. Then this beautiful design, this 144 colonnades, pillars all around the building. And they are said to, and this entire round building is supposed to represent unity. It goes round and round, and it represents unity. There's no division. And so with the historical background of this building, one gets very excited in working there. But then one also found out that there were severe pressures on our working space. And that is why, you see, Parliament, the original building is this sandstone structure which exists right now with stones and paintings and murals. But gradually, after some time, a Parliament annexee had to come up to house the offices. And then later, another building came up, which now houses the modern Library of Parliament, plus the several other offices of the LARDIS, as it is called, the information supplying and the library services, etc. So it's a fact that from a historical structure of this round edifice, as time evolved, new structures came up, and they also merged with the architecture of the old structure. But the fact remained that this structure was getting very old. I still remember one day there was an acute bad smell coming in Parliament, and members just walked out. They couldn't tolerate the smell, and then it was discovered that underneath the Parliament building there were very old drains which had got clogged. And since the Parliament canteen was also there, a lot of rubbish and food used to go down the pipes, and it had got clogged. And at that time, we found we didn't at once, at short notice, have all the maps of the building. So these were very interesting incidents which happened. And then, of course, the CPWD moved in very fast, effectively. They traced out the old maps, cleaned the drains, but there were, restraints on the infrastructure, if I may say so, because it was very old structures. Then, even when parliament committees meet, we found that they could not meet more than, because there were only 4 rooms for parliamentary committees to meet. The meetings had to be, restrained simultaneously. They could not meet. All of them could not meet. So a lot of other restraints came in, and it's a good thing now that a new parliament building is coming up, but old memories will remain, and very fond memories will remain of the old parliament building. And as the government has planned, it's going to be a sort of a museum of parliament history of India. This parliament building will remain, the structure will remain, and people will be shown around.
Right.
It's very interesting, and a lot of nostalgic memories associated with it, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as the old members are concerned. And if you might remember, I may add that there is a central hall right now, which is not going to be there in the new building, but this central hall is where the Constitution was discussed, framed, and where at the time of, on August 15, 47, Nehruji unfurled the flag and lowered the British flag and, upholstered the Indian flag. So all this nostalgia remains with these buildings and will always remain.
Right.
But the new structure is going to be a functional structure. It will take a lot of time to become a historical structure, if I may say so. It's going to be a functional structure, whereas this has become more or less a historical structure, less functional than it ought to be. Thank you.
Right. So the existing parliament building will be conserved, is what Mr. Narayan is suggesting, and it will be converted, of course, into a heritage kind of a museum where people can visit and people can soak in all the history as well. Mr. Iyer, talking about another aspect too, a new India, an aspirational India, an India of 130 crore people, are looking forward to something that is made in India, that, speaks, that brings out Bharatiyata or Indianness as well. So the new building is going to bring that in too, so we can do away with the colonial baggage associated with the existing building too going forward.
Well, you see, Frank, when this present Parliament House was conceived, it came when the cry for freedom had grown in this country, and the British sort of were planning for some devolution of power and not full-fledged independence. We have to remember that. And in fact, they had only thought of a legislative council, a unicameral legislative council. There was no concept of 2 houses. So, so accordingly, the building was done in such a way to meet that immediate demand. But we saw, as our freedom struggle moved on, the determination of the people, led by such legends like Gandhiji, saw that the movement grew in strength, and finally we got our independence in 1947. Subsequent to that, we have seen that our struggle as a nation that is growing up, and to today we are a country full of confidence, a country that is looking towards the future with lot of hope and lot of aspiration. So there is an aspiration in India. That aspiration in India has to be a functional India. And this building project, which I see it, is going to be a beautiful marriage of our past and of the struggles we have achieved and the way forward. So therefore, you need a functional structure, but more than functional structure, it has to be a much more, I would say, a place that is reflective of the realities that we are facing today. That would require a greater representation. Now, I am not exactly making a case for a delimitation or increasing the number of seats. What I'm saying is that is inevitable. If your population has grown up, to this extent, and every member of parliament has a great difficulty in connecting to his constituents, because already you find each Lok Sabha constituency has in some cases 6 to 7 assembly segments. So for a member of parliament to go and visit and, so, and more you notice one thing, today the people demand more from their representatives. They are demanding more from their elected representatives, whether they are MPs or MLAs. That would require a member of parliament to have all the facilities. When the parliament is in session in Delhi, particularly in office room, because office room I would consider a basic requirement. And besides my own experience as a reporter covering the parliament, I have also seen, that building has its own greatness. But at the same time, in terms of maintenance, there were a lot of challenges, just as Yogendraji was mentioning. Particularly before start of every session, you would find a lot of repair work would be undertaken, a lot of maintenance work would be undertaken just before every session, which means at least 4 times a year, a lot of money was spent, and that was basically fixing some problems, not a permanent solution. And we have heard Lok Sabha Speaker Meera Kumar ji herself saying that, that structure is in pain. This is the word she used. Similarly, her successor, Sumitra Mahajan ji, also said that this building is in some kind of a distress. This is the word she used, which means, see, the challenges of maintenance. We know that, a lot of time our ancestral houses will have to sometimes undergo repair, but there comes a time when you have to pull it down. And of course, there are, very fond memories because your grandfathers and great-grandfathers would have lived there. So these are there, but then the practicality requires that we preserve this monument and treat it as a monument and look forward to, having a new thing. Besides, this is going to be part of the Central Visitor project. You see, that is more important. Of course, the whole thing is before Supreme Court. A lot of questions have been raised. But then this is an aspect of Atmanirbharta because the government has decided that it should go in for more expenditure to spur economy. That is the basic idea behind it. And this is the right time to do it because we are coming out of the COVID crisis. We are coming out of the slowdown of economy. Gradually, our economy is picking up. We are seeing a lot of economists are already seeing green shoots. So a big economic activity like Central Vista, subject to clearance by the Supreme Court, we are going to see that this is going to be a bigger thing that's going to happen. And a functional parliament where, it is modern, where information can be accessed at fingertips, and where things will be paperless. This is something that members of parliament are going to find their work greatly facilitating. And I think just because, because this always happens, whenever things have to be done, people always ask, is it necessary? Can't we go on managing like this? But it is the duty of administrators of today and statesmen of today to prepare for a situation what will be 50 years hence. And our problem has been, we have always been handling things on an ad hoc basis. Consequently, in terms of public expenditure, the public money is spent in a haphazard way. You do something, then you have to pull it down, do something. At least this Central Vista project will be something which can take care of the requirements of the coming decades. I think that is more important point to be appreciated, Frank.
Absolutely. We've got about 6 minutes left for the program to officially begin. We are leading up to the event itself. These are live visuals that we are getting you from inside the venue, of course. This is where the stone laying ceremony or the foundation, the stone laying ceremony for the foundation of the new Parliament building will take place in a short while from now. We are just leading up to the actual event itself. The dignitaries are taking their seats as expected. COVID-appropriate behavior is being followed and physical distancing too is being followed to ensure that we take care of the entire pandemic situation as well. So we've got only a few minutes remaining before the event starts, about 5 minutes left. So let me try and get some concluding remarks from my panelists as well in this particular segment before we start the official program as far as the groundbreaking ceremony of the new Parliament building is concerned. Mr. Narayan, what is it that you are going to look forward to as far as the new building is concerned? What is that one thing that that excites you or that you're looking forward to?
What excites me is that for the first time, the parliamentarians will be able to meet their constituents or from their constituency in the parliament building, be aware of their problems and highlight them through the question hour and through the special mentions and call attention motions. Because so far it was, when parliament is in session, very few members of the constituency can come to members of parliament inside parliament. There's a lot of security arrangements. And what excites me also is the modernization, because I do not know the exact plans of the CPWD, but I assume that the most modern, updated technology, both in terms of lighting, in terms of electronic devices, in terms of counting of votes, etc., will be installed. Air conditioning also has to be updated. And this, what excites me is that it's being made by Indian architects through Indian engineers, going to represent the wide array of culture and through its paintings and murals.
Sorry to cut you short, Mr. Narayan. Let me just quickly update our viewers about the live proceedings that are taking place right now. The Prime Minister has made his way to the venue along with the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Urban Development Minister and Housing Minister, of course, Mr. Hardeep Puri, as well as the Parliamentary Minister. Now, live proceedings.
हस्तौ प्रक्षाल्य